Hi everyone! Today we're going to read Hidden Figures, the true story of four black women in the space race. This book is about four black women who helped us get to the moon and helped us come up with all kinds of scientific breakthroughs in the field of rocket science. And I really hope you're going to enjoy it for Women's History Month. Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, Katherine Johnson, and Christine Darden were good at math. Really good. In 1943, the United States was at war, World War II. Dorothy Vaughan wanted to serve her country by working for the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, the government agency that designed airplanes. Having the best airplanes would help us win the war. Making airplanes fly faster and higher and safer meant doing lots and lots of things at the agent's laboratory in Hampton, Virginia. Testing the airplanes meant numbers, numbers meant math, and math meant computers. Today, when we think of computers as machines, but in the 40s, computers were actual people who did the math. There she is, looking at the airplane. Because Dorothy was black and a woman, some people thought it would be impossible for her to get a job as a computer. She lived in Virginia, a southern state where white laws segregated or kept apart black people and white people. Black people could not eat in the same restaurants. They couldn't drink from the same water fountains. They couldn't use the same bathrooms. They couldn't go to the same schools. But Dorothy didn't think it was impossible. She was good at math, really good. She knew she was the right person for the job. She applied, and the laboratory offered her a position as a computer. So a computer's not like a machine. It was someone who actually did math to help make better airplanes. At work, blacks and whites were kept apart. The white computers worked in one building and Dorothy and the other black computers worked in different buildings in their separate offices. Even though they worked on the same kinds of assignments, the black computers and white computers used separate bathrooms and ate in separate lunchrooms. There they are. They're all doing the same job, but in different places. America won the war in 1945. But Dorothy stayed on the job, still trying to make airplanes faster and safer. By 1951, the Americans and the Russians were competing to see who built the best planes. That meant more experiments. That's what Dorothy did. That's when Mary Jackson got a job as a computer at Langley. She worked in a group that tested model airplanes and wind tunnels. A wind tunnel was a machine like a huge metal fan that spun and spun around. Mary put model airplanes in the wind tunnel and blasted them with air from the fan. So she did that to make sure that the planes could fly well. She wanted to see how well they would fly. There she is with the other engineers. Mary wanted to become an engineer, someone who designs planes and spaceships, but officials said it was impossible. Most of the engineers at the laboratory were men. But Mary was good at math, really good, and she refused to give up. Because she didn't give up, Mary Jackson became the first African American female engineer at the laboratory. There she is. She went to school. She learned. Katherine Johnson was good at math and always asked lots of questions. In 1953, she applied to the laboratory for a computer job and was placed on a team that tested actual planes that were flying in the air. No one knows how many lives she may have helped save by making safer planes. That's an actual plane behind her. Katherine wanted to help the group prepare its research reports. So she asked if she could go to meetings with other experts on the team. Her boss told her it was impossible. Women aren't allowed to attend meetings, he said. But Katherine, knew that she was good as everyone else, maybe better. So she asked him again and again. And again. And there he is getting a little tired of it. Katherine asked her boss so many times that he finally invited her to the meetings. Katherine was good at math, really good. And because she fought to be treated the same as the men, she became the first woman in her group to sign her name on the group's reports about airplanes. In the 1950s, the Langley Laboratory brought a machine computer that could do math faster than people. Computers were much larger then. You can see them here. At first, these machines made mistakes. Dorothy learned how to program them. She taught the women in her group how to program the computers too. And that's a computer back in the 50s. In 1957, Russia launched a satellite into the Earth. the United States started building satellites to explore space too. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy told Congress, "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before the decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth." The people at the laboratory had to work from morning to night to figure out how to send astronaut John Glenn to space and bring him back to Earth safely. Katherine Johnson knew she could use math to help. "Tell me where you want a spaceship to land, and I'll tell you where to launch it," Katherine told her boss. And over here is John Glenn, one of the first astronauts in space. No one was better than Katherine at solving those tricky math problems. Days before his mission, John Glenn wanted Katherine to double-check the machine computer's calculations to make sure he didn't make any mistakes. When Katherine said the numbers were great, Glenn was ready to go. On February 20, 1962, Glenn blasted off to space, circled the Earth, and made his way home safely. He went into space because Katherine did the work to make that possible. Meanwhile, things began to change. Black and white students could go to school together. Blacks fought for the right to sit beside whites in buses, to drink from the same water fountains. Black and white moviegoers could sit next to each other in the same theaters. Across the country, people started to think about ways to bring equality to all Americans. Here's everyone fighting for the right to sit on a bus. Christine Darden was good at math, and she loved electronic computers. She started working at Langley in 1967. She wanted to become an engineer. Thanks to Dorothy, Mary, and Katherine, she knew it was possible. Her first job was to help with NASA's mission to the moon. The people at the laboratory prepared for years to send astronauts for the moon, about 238,900 miles away from Earth. Finally, on July 20th, 1969, the world watched as 3 men arrived in the moon on the Apollo 11 spacecraft. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," said Neil Armstrong when he landed on the moon. But it was also a giant leap for Dorothy, Mary, Katherine, Christine, and all the computers and engineers who had worked in the laboratory for years. And there they are. There's Dorothy celebrating the moon landing. The next adventure wouldn't be easy. It would require lots of tests and much more numbers. But Dorothy, Mary, Katherine, Christine knew anything was possible with hard work, perseverance, and a love of math. Anything was possible. And there they are, proud of what they've done, proud of being able to send a man to the moon. So that's the story. I hope you like it, and I hope it makes you think about what women have achieved and what we can all do when we don't quit and just try our hardest. Thanks a lot.